Okay, let's look at this 4 homework. Some of them is tough, like I said. I will need to have this done as at least as much as I have done before next week. Remember to get a 50% on your review so that you don't have to take the test on Monday, Tuesday. Otherwise, you will be taking the test. Okay, I did examples like this, very similar on the notes in class. So I'm not going to do this one with you. Or number two, which is also very similar. Question three, I actually did do in class. So I'm not going to do that one either. And we're going to say that question four is the same as all those, just with a fraction, but you're going to be okay. Okay, question five is the first one I want to talk to you about. It says here degree 7, and -2 is a 0, multiplicity 3. 0 is a 0, multiplicity 3. And 2 is a 0, multiplicity 1. Well, if you know the zeros, you also know the factors. So basically, this is giving us the key to writing this in factored form. If -2 is a 0, then x plus 2 is a factor. That multiplicity 3 means it will come up 3 times. 0 is a 0. Yes, that's the hard one. If you need to write x minus 0, you can to realize that doesn't look right. It's just plain Jane x. So we'll put that in front. The multiplicity 3 means it will come up 3 times. And 2 is a 0 with multiplicity 1 means x minus 2 is a 0 with multiplicity, is a factor, excuse me, with multiplicity 1. I'll just leave it. Now, um, they asked me yesterday, where did the 7 come from? Well, it came from because if you take x to the third times, this will be x to the third when I'm all done, times x, that will give you the degree 7 for that first term. I want you to leave this in factored form. You're going to miss this one. I mean, you don't have to. If you're obsessed with 100%, I'll show you what to do. But it will say your answer is correct. It is in the wrong form. You can leave it like this because what you're going to have to do if you want the correct answer is you're going to have to take that x plus 2 and expand it. And the x minus 2 here. Now you could do it, sure. Like we've done this a lot. That's just x squared minus 4. And this is x squared plus 4x plus 4. And then you would triple distribute, and then you would take it times the x to the third. But I don't need you to do that. Anytime it's going to be 5 or under, 5 or over, excuse me, 5 or over, you can leave it in factored form. If it's under 5, go ahead and expand it out. Okay, so you can type it like this, and it will tell you that it's the correct answer, wrong form, and that's what I want you to go after for this one. Question 6, we are actually going to expand it out because it says degree 4. So since it says degree 4, we are going to go ahead and expand this one out. -2 is a 0, multiplicity 3 means x plus 2 is a factor with multiplicity 3, and 0 is a 0 with multiplicity 1, so I'll put the x in front. Go ahead and expand this one out, and we will multiply. Now remember, when you multiply 2 pieces at a time. So we're going to multiply this guy, and then we'll take those answers and multiply them together. So this is x squared plus 2x. This will be x squared plus 2x plus 2x. So that's 4x plus 4. And now we will double or triple distribute, whatever you want to call it. And we get x to the fourth plus 4x to the third plus 4x squared for the first guy. Now, sometimes when I do the double distributing, I like to kind of stack them a little bit to keep track of things. So this is a 2x to the third, so I'm just going to put it underneath the other x to the third so I see where it's at. Plus 8x squared, and then the plus 8x. There's nobody with that. So what does that give me as my final answer? It gives me x to the fourth plus 6x to the third plus 12x squared plus 8x. Okay, so you can go ahead and type that in. You can pause it because it'll take you a while, obviously, because they're kind of a pain to type in. And that should be enough for you to get that question right. On any of these, if you're really having a hard time with, email me. I could see if I could see your mistake. If you snap me your work, I can usually see it. Or we could talk about next week as long as you get the most of these done. Don't stress yourself out though. Okay. This one is not nearly as hard as you think. They're telling you have a polynomial degree 4. So you're looking for 3 zeros, but take a look. They only told you 3 of them. They only told you 3. So what does the other one have to be? A lot of times we look for zeros on our calculator, but remember what we said? You see the square root of 3 here? Square root of 3 is not allowed to be by itself. If square root of 3 is a 0, then you know without a doubt that negative square root of 3 also has to be a 0. Okay, the next two questions are just as easy. Remember that they come in pairs, imaginaries and irrationals. So they should be just as easy. Number 9 is a simple one, as is number 10. Now, number 11 is probably the hardest question that we will talk about right now. So you want to make sure you have a couple choices here. You can use my numbers and watch, or just make sure you pause it a lot to make sure you aren't accidentally switching my numbers, okay? So it says we have the lowest degree, so the least amount of zeros possible if these are two of them. So basically, since they told us to, we need to say, okay, I know what the other two are. So let's do this. Since 5 minus I is a 0, I also know that 5 plus I is a 0. And since square root of 19 is a 0, I also know that negative square root of 19 is a 0. And since I know these zeros, now I'm going to write the factors. In the question we did in class, talked about what to do with these problems that look like this, but we didn't do it on this video yet. So when you do factored form, usually change the sign. Like these two guys would be easy. This is just x minus root 19 and x plus root 19. So how do you change the sign of something that has like two pieces? Well, you just put a minus sign and then in parentheses, whatever it is, because it will end up changing both of those. So it looks a little weird, but that is how we do it. And then, like we said, this is x minus root 19 and x plus root 19. So you're probably going to want to pause it if you're using your numbers to make sure you have it all written out correctly. Okay, so now what do we do? Well, these are conjugate pairs and these are conjugate pairs. And my advice to you is always to multiply the conjugate pairs together. So we're going to multiply these and we'll multiply these. But first, let's clean this up a bit. Let's distribute that negative to both pieces so that it looks more normal. And that's x minus 5 plus I now. And this is x minus 5 minus I. And what do I have here? I still have what I had, x minus root 19 and x plus 19. Okay, so now I can triple distribute when I multiply these first two together. So x times x is x squared. And remember when you multiply conjugate pairs, some of the nastiness is going to drop out. So we're expecting some things to simplify. I have minus 5x, because this is weird right here. Minus ix, what does that even mean? Minus ix or minus xi? I don't know, but I think it will probably drop out. Next, I have a minus 5 times an x. So that's another minus 5x. I'll put that here. A minus 5 times a minus 5, that's a plus 25. I could put it over here. I could put it wherever I want. It doesn't have a like term though, so I'll just put it over there. And then this will be a plus 5i. There's no plain Jane i's either, so I'll just put a plus 5i over here. Hoping that drops out as well. So let's see what happens when I distribute the last piece here. I times x, I'm feeling happy because that's a plus ix. That's just what I wanted to happen. I times negative 5, that's a negative 5i. I'm happy with that as well. And then what do I have here? I have a minus I squared. So this will be gone and this will be gone. Minus I squared. That is the same thing, guys, as a minus a negative 1, which is the same thing as a plus 1. So when I multiply those two together, I get the x squared. I have a minus 10x. These cancel. I have 25. These cancels in plus 1, so I have 26. Achoo! Oh, excuse me. Double time. A little sneeze for you guys. That's kind of exciting. Okay, so that looks way nicer. I like it. Let's take a look at this. Let's double distribute. X times x is x squared. I don't need to write this because I know, but some of you might want to see it. That's the square root of 19x. And then this will be minus the square root of 19x. So those will cancel just like what I needed them to. And this part, It's minus, well, what is square root of 19 times square root of 19? That's the same thing as the square root of 19 squared. So those squares drop out and I just get the 19. So this will be multiplied by x squared minus, did I mess that up? Yeah, x squared minus times x squared minus 19. That's right. Sorry, little brain fart there. Okay, I would pause it here to make sure that you're all caught up because we're almost done. We're now just going to triple distribute one more time and we'll get our final answer. So I have x squared times x squared is x to the fourth. X squared times minus 19 19x squared. Here's a negative 10x times x squared. That's negative 10x to the third. So we're a little out of order here. I'll have to fix that before I enter. Negative 10x times negative 19 is plus 190x. 26 times x squared is a plus 26x squared. So that one goes here. And 26 times negative 19, I don't even know. 494. Negative 494. So my final answer is going to be x to the fourth. I'll need the negative 10x to the third. Type this in my calculator because I'm up early. Negative 19 plus 26. And that is plus 7x squared plus 190x minus 494. Okay, so go ahead and pause that to get yours right. My daughter's calling me, so I'm going to actually end this video for a second, and we'll start back up in a sec.